Crimson Trace now offers a line of tactical-oriented products, including open and closed reflex sights, battle sights, and a robust line of rifle scopes, purpose-built with maximum features and versatility. Find out more at crimsontrace.com.
Today on Tom Gresham's Gun Talk, a proposed law in Massachusetts to create a firearms screening and counseling program with health providers, essentially treating gun ownership like a disease. Plus, gun rights in the new year, what you need to be doing now to help protect the Second Amendment. Also, amazing news for gun rights in Puerto Rico starting January 1st and more. Call 866-TALK-GUN with your comments, questions, range reports, and your favorite gifts that you received this holiday season. And now, here's Tom.
Well, all righty. Ho, ho, ho. I sure do hope that you got everything you wanted for Christmas. Hey, I'm Tom Gresham. It's Gun Talk. We'll be talking about, well, guns and shooting and cool stuff and new things, and some things we could talk about and some you'll be hearing about in a matter of days. I know. It's the old tease deal, but I can't talk about it yet. But let me just say this. If you are a gun nerd, as I am, if you've ever said or heard somebody say, well, why don't they bring back, let me just say, I think you're going to be happy. Well, I have to leave it at that, but it'll be very soon. If you'd like to join us right here on the air, if you want to just talk about guns or you want to share a story, it's pretty easy. Just give me a call, 866-TALK-GUN, or just dial Tom Talk Gun. I would like to know, did you either receive or give a gun or any kind of shooting supplies for Christmas? Did you give yourself anything? Sometimes that's the best way to get it exactly what you're looking for. A lot of folks are looking for guns these days. A lot of people buying guns. Obviously the self-defense is still the primary reason that people have guns, self-protection. And that's smart. Frankly, I use the analogy that your self-defense gun is very much like a fire extinguisher. It's not there to replace, your fire extinguisher is not there to replace the fire department. It's there to try to control the situation until the fire department can get there. Your self-defense firearm is pretty much the same thing. And yes, you may be able to stop, dissuade, persuade the bad guy to go the other direction with your gun. But the whole idea is this. It's, and we come up with these clever little phrases. When seconds count, the police are only minutes away. That's not a dig on the police. It's just an acknowledgement of the reality. They're not going to be there when you are attacked, when somebody's kicking in your door. It's just highly unlikely you're going to have a police officer there. And even if they respond quickly, call it 5 minutes. Just pick a number. 5 minutes is a really fast response time. But 5 minutes is an eternity if someone is robbing you, beating on you, cutting on you, kicking in the door, trying to come in the door, all the rest of it. 5 minutes is forever. You need action now in 10 seconds, in 5 seconds, in 3 seconds, in 2 seconds, in 1 second. You need to be able to respond quickly. You are, and this, I guess, where you really get down to it, you are, in fact, your own first responder. You are, in fact, your family's first responder. To ignore that, sometimes people don't like it when I say it this way. To ignore that, to not take on that responsibility is, in my way, being negligent. It is being irresponsible. It would be like not teaching your children how to cross the street safely. You are there to take care of them. That's part of your role. If you say, yeah, but on this particular area, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to roll the dice. I'm just going to take my chances. And look, I get it. For a lot of people, they say, you know what? I just think that chance, the chances of ever needing that are so small, I'm going to ignore it. I think that that's being unbelievably selfish. It's a way of saying, I don't want to make the effort, take the time, spend the money to commit. It will require me to do things that will take me away from doing the other things in my life. I will have to miss watching TV. I will have to miss spending time on my phone, texting. I would have to actually go out and spend money and buy a gun and then learn to use it and get some training. And then I have the inconvenience of how do I store it? How do I carry it? All that stuff. Yep, and yep. You do. And we do. And what's interesting is how many of us have decided that it's worth it. How many of us have decided we're going to accept the responsibility of taking care of ourselves, providing for our own safety and the safety of our families. That requires learning about it, studying about it, becoming a student of the gun, as our friend Paul Markle says. And look, part of this, and if you're new to this, you may not understand it. Part of this, a large part of it, is understanding when you can't and shouldn't insert a firearm into the equation, and learning how to avoid doing that. I'm looking at stories right now. Been reading about some carjackings. Let's talk about carjackings for a minute, because they seem to be on the rise. At least it is my impression. And I think if you haven't thought through, if you haven't talked with your family about it, with your husband, with your wife, with your children who are of driving age, boy, and that's really important. If they don't have a plan, they will probably do the wrong thing. Doing the wrong thing can get somebody hurt or killed. Here's the deal. It's just a thing. A car is just a thing. We get all wrapped up. It's my car. It's my special car. I love my car. It's just a thing. Call the insurance company. Get a new one. Call the police. Because here's the deal. Typically, as I read all these reports, hundreds of these reports, your typical carjacker is somebody between 16 and 25 years old. Always male. Possibly often on some form of alcohol or drugs. Nervous, frightened, hopped up, amped up, whatever it is. All this person is looking for is your car. Anything that gets in his way, if he's armed, he's liable to shoot somebody. Unless your children are in the car, give him the car. Give him your wallet. Because even if you say, well, I've got my gun, yeah, okay, great. If you do everything right, maybe you win. What if you don't do everything right? What if you just aren't lucky that day? You get shot. Somebody else gets shot. Over what? A car. How many car dealerships do you drive past during the day? How many cars do they have on the lots? You can get another one. Let them have it. But here's the thing. You probably won't decide correctly in the heat of the moment. You will be offended. You will be frightened. You will want to say, no, you can't have my car because that's not right. Yeah, get over it. It's not right. They're not right. But you have to have decided ahead of time, and you have to have informed your family. You have to have taught your family, don't do anything to try to fight this. Let them have the car. Well, that's just not right, Tom. We got to stop. No, yeah, look, I get it. I understand. I understand the rage. I understand the outrage of the whole thing. I get all that. Now, if they want to steal your car with your kids in it, all bets are off. You may want to say, hey, let me get my kids out of the car. You got the car. Cool. Not a problem. But there's also the possibility you could do everything right and still get shot. So I can't make the call for you, but I can just put it into your head that if you can find a way to get out of the situation, and one of those options includes just letting them have the car. Here's the deal. If you're not in the car, if they come say, give me the keys, dude, I am giving them the key. Now, if I'm in the car and they're banging on the window trying to get in, Might be a different situation. At that point, I would hope you have taken some classes and learned about how do you shoot from inside your car. Do you know how to draw your gun from your holster inside your car? Think about this. Follow me with this now. Without pointing that gun at your femoral arteries. What? Oh, yeah, your legs are sticking out in front of you. And you draw your gun out and you keep your muzzle down. You just swept or pointed your gun at your legs, at your femoral arteries, and you're scared and you're nervous and you're trying to move fast and your finger may get on the trigger. Oops. Another NTOT moment. I never thought of that. But if you go to one of these classes, you realize, oh, but there's a way to draw and sweep that muzzle up and around and maybe have it circle around the top of the steering wheel as it comes around, and now you haven't pointed your gun at yourself. That's what I'm talking about when I say people say, I've been around guns all my life. I don't need that kind of training. Yes, you do. You don't understand this stuff. You don't think about this stuff. It's not a part of your world. That's why you go to people who are thinking about this all the time, where this is, in fact, their world. All right? Fairly simple stuff, but it's not intuitive. All right? So, question on the floor is, what'd you get? What'd you buy? What'd you give? And as you look toward 2020, do you have any thoughts as far as New Year's resolutions? More shooting? More guns? Introducing more people into shooting? I'd love to know what's on your plan list, all right? 866-TALK-GUN or Tom Talk Gun.
Brownells.com is your home for all things firearms. Looking for a retro rifle? How about the BRN 180 or 180S? Named one of SHOT Show's best products of 2019. Visit Brownells.com for guns, ammo, reloading equipment, or anything you need to customize your firearm. And enjoy the industry's only guaranteed forever satisfaction policy. To stay up to date with the latest and best deals from Brownells, text BRN to 556-223.
Mental health and guns. At Walk the Talk America, we are working with both the mental health community and the gun industry. Created by a gun industry veteran, Walk the Talk America seeks to raise awareness and create change through suicide prevention and firearm safety without legislation. We strive to eliminate the prejudice that firearms and mental health face. For more information and to support Walk the Talk America, please visit walkthetalkamerica.org.
You got your carry permit, and that's good. But you know you could use more training. Get the DVDs, which have what you need. Springfield Armory presents Concealed Carry 1 and Concealed Carry 2 with Bata Group. Learn specific concealed carry skills from Top Gun fighting trainers. Get trained. Be prepared. This really is life and death. ShopGunTalk.com. That's ShopGunTalk.com.
The Smith & Wesson M&P 380 Shield EZ pistol revolutionized personal protection with its easy-to-use design. Now, enter the M&P Shield EZ in 9mm. Built for personal and home protection, the Smith & Wesson M&P 9 Shield EZ pistol features the same easy-to-rack, easy-to-load, and easy-to-shoot design of the M&P Shield EZ series. Available at a retailer near you. Find out more at smith-wesson.com.
I'm getting some breaking news story coming in right now out of Texas, out of Fort Worth. A gunman opens fire at a church outside Fort Worth. 2 people dead, 1 critical condition after a gunman opened fire at a North Texas church. I'm reading this story. One story I saw said that the gunman may have been shot by a church. Yeah, look, it says, gunman walked up to a server during communion and shot him with a shotgun and began firing until another church member shot the suspect. Well, consider this. Compare that to the church shooting in Sutherland Springs, Texas, where no one in the church had a gun. and the man killed more than 20 people. And it wasn't until Stephen Williford, a neighbor, heard the shooting, grabbed his AR-15 rifle, and ran barefooted to the church and shot the murderer. It is always a matter of time. The police, they call it the stopwatch of death. The longer the clock runs, the more people die. You'll have more deaths. In this case, it appears, early reports, understand that early reports are often suspect. It appears, with these early reports, that someone in the church had a gun and shot the murderer. I'll also compare this to the story from last night in New York, where a man goes into a rabbi's home next to the synagogue, and the man has knives. He stabbed 5 people during a Hanukkah celebration in a rabbi's home just outside of New York. They're calling it an act of domestic terrorism, to which I respond, who cares? Putting a name on it doesn't change the fact that it was an attack. Now, you could say, well, he was thinking bad thoughts. It's a hate crime. Give me a break. The only thing that matters is, can you stop him, and how quickly can you stop him? And does he stop because he gets tired and wants to go somewhere else? Or does he stop because somebody shoots him, which is generally the best way to stop these people? Just food for thought. Do you carry a gun when you go to church? How do you carry? Love to know. 866-TALK-GUN. Line 1, David's with us out of Huntsville, Texas. David, you're on Gun Talk. What's on your mind?
Well, I was listening to you a little while ago, and you were saying if someone wants to take your car, let them take it. I have a differing opinion. Not everybody can afford to just run out and buy a new car. It's the only means they have. It gets them to work, gets their kids to school, gets them to the grocery stores. Most towns are really big, and you can't just take a bus or walk places. Sometimes you have to fight. You can't just let people take stuff.
All right, here's my question.
Not when you depend on it.
All right. If you depend on it, you'd be massively inconvenienced. How massively inconvenienced would you be if you got shot? Because you decided you're going to stop this guy from taking your car because it's going to inconvenience me. And he says, you know what? I think I'll just shoot you. Oh, yeah, I'm going to shoot everybody else in the car while I'm at it because you really make me mad.
They're likely to do that anyway.
No, they're not. Not historically. Generally speaking,
nowadays criminals are getting worse and worse. They will come in with the intent on shooting people, and then taking stuff.
That's true.
It's not like they come in
I agree.
and just wave a gun around. They're shooting.
Home invasion's a different issue. It's not the same as with carjacking. I read hundreds of these reports. I don't actually remember any cases where somebody was doing a carjacking and went in and shot the person. They just say, "Give me the car." Point a gun at them, give me the keys, get out of the car. And if you do that, they will drive away, and you will be inconvenienced, and you will be alive. And typically, many, many times, somebody says, no. They start fighting with them over the keys, or a woman is grabbing a purse. No, you can't take my purse. And then he gets mad and shoots them. And I'm just here to tell you, first of all, if you shoot them, and here's the deal, David. Historically, it's going to cost you somewhere between $50,000 and $100,000 to pull the trigger to shoot the guy. That's what it's going to cost you in legal fees. Even if they put a medal on you, even if they say it was a great defensive shoot. So, and look, and I get it. If the person is going to hurt you, if you feel like that person is going to hurt you, and you have no option, do what you got to do. I'm right there with you. I'm just saying that I would like for people to consider that as an option of trying to find a way to not go to gun first. If you have to, you have to. But if you can think it through and say, is there a way out of this? And, I'm sorry, I got to reject the whole deal of I'm going to be inconvenienced because I'm not going to have a way to go to work. I think we're not thinking through this deal of what it's like. Oh, yeah, for the rest of your life, you're going to be in a wheelchair and you're going to use a colostomy bag because you decided you weren't going to let somebody take your car or your truck and you got shot. That's the kind of stuff we're talking about. I just don't think people fully comprehend sometimes. You know what it is? It's weird. And look, I appreciate the call. I remember somebody at Gunsight saying one time, people really understand the threat of being knifed because everybody's been cut. And if you said, I'm going to have somebody's going to come up and stab you, you're not going to do that. But for some weird reason, people are not as concerned with being shot as if they're going to be knifed. Kind of weird. But I think it's because they don't have any experience. Most people have not been shot. Although people I know who have been shot, let me tell you, they take a completely different view of that, whether it's from the military or police officers or what. And I just think, people think, well, if you get shot, you die. Well, no. Let's think about, okay, if you are paralyzed, if you're in a wheelchair, if you, as I say, basically you're using a colostomy bag the rest of your life, or you have to go through numerous surgeries, and, it's a larger picture than we can't let people do this. I get that, I understand it. But I think sometimes people don't fully comprehend the risk they're taking when they do this. When they say, I'm going to go help somebody out. I'm going to get involved. Yeah, okay. I mean, every day I see a news story of somebody who decides to go get involved in a situation where nobody was really at risk. It was a robbery taking place. Somebody was taking money from somebody. And they turned it into a shooting by getting involved. Nobody was getting shot. It was simply a robbery. And yes, it offends me, my sense of right and wrong. And if you can't put up with that, then go dive right in. But understand what you're getting into. Somebody could get shot, and just because you're the good guy doesn't mean that you're not the one who gets shot. Or an innocent bystander gets shot because you decided to go insert yourself into a situation. Just food for thought. All I'm saying is that this stuff is complicated, and that's where the training comes in. You find out what works, what doesn't. Try it again. Try it over and over. Training pays off. Hey, coming back, gun rights in 2020.
We'll keep talking. You keep reloading. Here's Tom.
All right, we're talking more updates
right now with
in from
Roger Marshall. He's the MP.
Let's more information coming in from Fort Worth, Texas, where we have a church shooting there. It looks as though they have in this church, 2 people have been shot. Looks like killed. Gunman has been shot. Don't know if he's dead, but they have security and they have armed church members there. Is the report I'm seeing now. So it appears that the shooting was stopped by people one or more persons in the church who had their guns and were able to shoot this attacker. Why would you not carry your gun in church? We understand these are soft targets. We just saw what happened at the rabbi's home up in New York with somebody going in with knives and stabbed a whole bunch of people. Just, it's the reality of the world. Okay, there it is. As we look toward the year 2020, just about to get there, and people are thinking about what am I going to do, and we talk about your self-defense plans, and you're going to buy guns, and you're going to get training, and you're going to go out and do some shooting, and all the rest of it. None of it's going to matter if we don't have our gun rights, and I think it's going to be a critical time. I just wrote a piece. It was in our newsletter. Hope you got it. And I called it 2020 is the year of the big gun fight. Joining me to talk about that, because he knows these things, Alan Gottlieb from the Second Amendment Foundation and the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms. Alan, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, Tom, and to all your listeners as well.
Thank you, sir. As we look at 2020, there are so many things going on, it's hard to even know where to start. Everywhere from this incredible uprising by gun owners in Virginia that I hope may spread across the country, to obviously we have a presidential election, to lawsuits left and right. As you look at it, what's your kind of 30,000-foot view to start off with?
Well, there's some pluses and some minuses, I guess, when we're looking forward. The minuses are still the NRA's financial and management problems, and all the lawsuits and investigations on the organization are still going on. That's not good for us in the upcoming 2020 fights that we have. And that's on the bad side. Also on the bad side is the fact that the our opponents learned this year that they can spend millions of dollars on elections by targeting certain states and create havoc for our gun rights, like what's happened in Virginia. And I plan on seeing more of that. I'm worried about assault weapon ban initiative on the ballot in the state of Florida that's going to be heavily funded by our opponents, with $1 million checks, into the kitty, and it's going to make it very difficult for us to win. I'm worried about that. On the plus side, I am kind of happy about the rebellion we've seen in you mentioned Virginia with the sanctuary movement for gun rights. And it's not just Virginia, because it actually was happening first in Illinois, and a significant percentage of the counties in Illinois also became sanctuary counties or cities where they will not enforce additional state gun laws, just like in Virginia.
Right.
So both Virginia and Illinois have significant number of counties, and we've seen it spread this year. In Washington, in Oregon, in Arizona, in other places, and I think that's something you're going to see happen in 2020 in a bigger way as a pushback, and that shows that when law enforcement in those counties and cities are not going to enforce unconstitutional gun laws. That's a plus. We also still have a number of cases pending cert at the U.S. Supreme Court, which may get heard next year, and so I'm kind of excited about that because that could help cement our firearms rights as well. And then, of course, the big thing out there that we all know about is the 2020 elections themselves, particularly the presidential election. The importance of making sure that Donald Trump gets reelected, so that we can continue to get pro-gun judges appointed to our courts. We're coming up on close to the number of 200 that he's been able to appoint now and nominate and get confirmed. It's really important that continues, because that can cement gun rights in the United States for generations to come.
And, of course, there's a possibility. If we have 4 more years of Trump, then we probably have 1 or possibly 2 Supreme Court seats that will need to be filled. And that could really make a huge difference, because we're still on that iffy side with Justice Roberts in the middle. You never know which way he's going to go. So we don't have a completely conservative or pro-Constitution Supreme Court right now.
That's true, and that's why these elections are so important, and the other side knows it as well. And all stops are going to get pulled out. So I'm really kind of concerned about it, because we could have a victory in 2020 and be sitting pretty for a while, and we could have a defeat in 2020 and have our rights even under more assault than we've seen in the last few years.
You could also have a weird situation where you have Trump gets reelected, but you lose control of the Senate, at which point now you can't get the court nominations passed out of the Senate. So you have that possibility. So actually, keeping control of the Senate and possibly, I don't know if it's possible, regaining control of the House are huge as well.
Most definitely. And, the polling data is a little crazy right now. Trump has a lot of high negatives, but so do his opponents. And, and I think the general populace, when they look at approval ratings for Congress doesn't sit too well either. So it's fluid, so that, depending on who turns out, we could have a nice win or we could have a disastrous loss. So we need to really keep our eye on that ball, and gun owners need to engage and get involved locally on the local level, in campaigns in their area, and devote time and resources and dollars to help those campaigns out. It's also really important, Tom. I've noticed that the anti-gunners are doing a very good job of stepping outside the gun issue itself, getting involved in other organizations, getting involved in community activities so that they can spread their influence. Gun owners, we tend to stick to ourselves and don't go out in the community a whole lot, get engaged in other groups, other organizations, various, charitable things in the community. It's really important that we engage in the community so people understand and realize that, gun owners are part of the community. We don't have horns. We're not dangerous people, and our opinions, have merit. And in fact, we have a lot of facts on our side. We need to talk not just to ourselves. We need to talk to the general community.
Well, and the point there is that if you are not part of the community, you appear to be those people over there. It's easy to marginalize gun owners, and then it's easy to discount what they say. And then all of a sudden we're saying, well, how did they pass that? Well, that's because we weren't there. We weren't part of the conversation. We chose to go to our gun clubs and go to our gun shows, but we never got out there and participated in these other organizations, which may not be our main thrust, But to your point, Alan, you've got to be part of the community. Otherwise, they will decide what happens to you.
True, and when it comes to disenfranchising gun owners, the other side is in making a heavy attempt to do that and marginalize this as much as they can. So it's not just that we're not getting engaged to make sure we're not marginalized. The other side is doing everything they can to marginalize us. We have to realize that.
Well, yeah. I mean, look at what's going on right now. I guess in the last 2 weeks, Facebook is basically taking off their quote-unquote influencers. Anybody who has a message that promotes gun ownership or gun purchasing, they get removed from Facebook. And that's part of this marginalization and demonization. And basically, it's more than that. And we'll talk about this in just a second. I got to take a quick break. We're talking with Alan Gottlieb. But what it really is, it is an attack and an attempt, and now they're openly calling for it, a way to eradicate gun culture, as they call it. Gun culture, they want to completely eradicate it in the United States, and they're doing it through the social media and every other way they can. The question is now, what do we do? How do we get involved? What do you need to do? Because it takes every single one of us. Talking with Alan Gottlieb from the Second Amendment Foundation. If you have some thoughts on this, call us 866-TALK-GUN.
When the U.S. military's elite units and law enforcement agencies across the globe demanded innovation and reliability, they didn't settle. They chose Sig Sauer. When world champion professional shooters demanded precision accuracy, they didn't settle. They chose Sig Sauer. So it's no surprise more and more civilian gun owners are refusing to settle for anything less. They're choosing Sig Sauer firearms, ammunition, electro-optics, suppressors, air guns, and training. Sig Sauer. Never settle.
It's the Bill of Rights, not the Bill of Needs. I'm Alan Gottlieb, founder of the Second Amendment Foundation. When someone says we don't need that kind of gun, remind them the Founding Fathers determined what rights our Constitution should protect. There's a world of difference between rights and needs. It is not the function of government to tell us what we need or what we don't. Certainly no one needs an assault rifle or a Saturday Night Special, or for that matter, no one needs a Corvette with a high-capacity horsepower engine capable of speeds to 150 miles per hour. But in the hands of honest, responsible individuals, we have the right of choice. We have the right to read books others don't like. We have the right to listen to any radio program we choose. We have the right to dress the way we want to. We also have the right to own firearms of our choice. So the next time someone tells you you don't need something, tell them it's the Bill of Rights, not the Bill of Needs. Join the Second Amendment Foundation today so that this message and our Bill of Rights might live. Call 425-454-7012. That's 425-454-7012.
Since 1937, Ducks Unlimited has led the charge on wetlands and waterfowl conservation. Wetlands reduce the effects of flooding and recharge our drinking water, but perhaps most importantly, they allow us to experience what makes the outdoors so great. Band together to rescue our wetlands.
For 25 years, Crimson Trace has led the industry in laser and light technology and customer service. Now, Crimson Trace is proud to offer electronic sights and rifle scopes for tactical, target, and hunting applications, with the same Crimson Trace offer of free batteries for life on all products. The new rifle scope line is also backed by an unconditional lifetime warranty from the brand that you have trusted for over 2 decades. Find out more at crimsontrace.com.
We're back. I just, on my Twitter feed, I am at Gun Talk on Twitter. I just retweeted a photo that was taken from they have live streaming video from this church in Fort Worth where they just had the shooting this morning. Grabbed a still shot there, and I just retweeted it. You can see the attacker, top center, in the photograph. He has a shotgun. Everybody is crouched down on the pews. The attacker is shooting people. In the top left of the picture, you see a man with a handgun pointing at the attacker, at the murderer, and shooting him. So here you have in visual evidence of a good guy with a gun who stopped the slaughter of innocent people in the church this morning in Fort Worth. Check it out. Check out my Twitter feed. I am at Gun Talk on Twitter. We're talking with Alan Gottlieb right now from the Second Amendment Foundation. Alan, we're talking about basically where we are with 2020. We have the election, the Donald Trump re-election, we hope. I want to throw out one thought here. You talk about how the polls are a little bit this way and Trump's numbers can be down and all. I am convinced after the last election that the polls don't know exactly what to do with Trump, and right up and literally and up until and through the exit polls were taken in the election, they were calling it for Hillary runaway, and then as the actual votes came in, it went the other way. Why is that? Why do the polls get it wrong on him?
Well, let me say they got it a little wrong, but not as wrong as it might appear to be either. I mean, again, he did not get the majority of the popular vote nationwide, and the polling data, you don't know where it was pulled from what states. And we do know that states like Pennsylvania, and Michigan, states that Trump pulled out and won, that gun owners were very active in those particular states. We were very well organized on the ground in those states. We targeted, a half a dozen key states and came out victorious in those states. So the electoral vote was way in Trump's favor because of actions gun owners took. The other side now recognizes we did that, and they're, I think, a little more prepared for it for this election. So we have to double and triple our efforts in those particular states to make sure that we stay on top and win.
To your point, also, we're not going to have the NRA spending the money like they did during the last election because they're just trying to hang on and basically not only be relevant but actually just continue to exist. I mean, I think it's that bad.
Unfortunately, I have to agree with you. It's really that bad. And if you take a look on blog posts and discussion groups on the internet of gun owners, particularly active gun owners all across the country, an awful lot of them are not giving money to the NRA until the NRA cleans up its act and its house and changes its leadership and shows the money is being spent wisely. But then even with that, you've got all the lawsuits against that they're engaged in. It costs a small fortune every day on litigation. I mean, and then you got the state of New York and other states and Washington D.C., city of D.C. and the federal government investigating them. In some cases, these criminal investigations have been opened. It's creating problems in leadership. Is virtually paralyzed. And that's not good for any of us. It's not good for the cause. It doesn't help other gun groups out either. This is really a problem going into 2020. So gun owners have to realize that, like it or not, we need to stick together and we need to work for victory in 2020, or we're in big trouble.
And part of that is staying informed, and I think a lot of people wait to be told what to do. And you actually have to take responsibility and make an effort to join groups, whether it's the Second Amendment Foundation or your state groups, which are vitally important. You have to make the effort to get involved in something so that you will, in fact, know what's going on, right?
Yeah, but I'm really kind of glad. I think gun owners are doing that. I'm seeing more and more of it, particularly if you take a look at states like, Virginia and Illinois, where the sanctuary movement is all grassroots and coming from the bottom up, where people are turning out at city council and county council meetings, urging resolutions to be passed. Supporting gun rights. This is tremendous, and it's great to see it happening from the bottom up, not the top down.
Yeah, exactly. It's not highly organized, but it is. It's almost I call it our Arab Spring of people just rising up to fight this. And Alan, I'm going to ask you to hold on just a second to carry you through the next break here. We almost never do that, but this is important enough. When we come back, I'm going to give you the floor and talk about what we individually need to be doing in 2020 to fight for our gun rights. Whether it's on the individual level, small groups, state groups, what we can do. Because, I will tell you, I've never seen an assault like this before. They are getting to be very good at it. They have more money than we do now, and they're pretty darn sophisticated. They're very good at this stuff. We're going to talk with Alan Gottlieb from the Second Amendment Foundation. You can call us 866-TALK-GUN. Hey, next hour, I want to talk about this attack that just happened in Texas, church shooting. We're now getting still shots from the video. It looks like the defender with a handgun taking on the man with the shotgun, the murderer with a shotgun. probably was looking at shots of 15 yards, so 30 to 45 feet. We'll talk about the need for practicing at beyond close-up bad breath distances. We're talking right now with Alan Gottlieb from the Second Amendment Foundation. Alan, as you look at 2020, what is your advice? What do you encourage people to do to help? Because, I mean, and we've talked about it, we're getting outspent and they're getting real sophisticated and they're getting pretty good at this on the gun ban side of things. What can individuals do?
Well, what I'm urging is that every gun owner make a New Year's resolution to spend 1 hour a day defending gun rights, be it writing a letter to the editor of your local newspaper, appearing, calling in on a local national radio talk show, getting engaged in social media, anything you can do to defend gun rights. Make a pledge, a New Year's resolution to spend 1 hour a day defending gun rights. If we take a look at several million gun owners doing that, that's going to be a force the other side cannot match or compete with.
Absolutely. I love the idea. One of the things I have come to grips with is that a lot of the folks on the gun ban side of things, and they may not be like hardcore, but the people who just kind of support it, they absolutely do not believe any of the statistics that we put out. They'll often say, look, people don't ever use guns successfully in self-defense. So I'm thinking one of the things you could do, Alan, with your 1 hour a day is as you find stories of defensive gun uses, and a good place to find those would be keepandbeararms.com, where they have lists of them right out of the news stories. And you could send the links to those stories to the legislative aides, and you should know who they are, for your senators and your congressmen, and just to say, hey, here's another defensive gun use. It's like over and over and over. So after a while, they go, yeah, people actually really do use guns successfully in self-defense. That might be a good activism thing to do.
Exactly. And if people need background information to be able to write on any particular issue with gun rights, the Second Amendment Foundation has a new book out called Gun Facts and Myths. And you can get it from the foundation directly, or you can go get it to Amazon.com and get it off Amazon.com, Gun Facts and Myths. And it'll give you everything you need to refute every single argument the other side comes up with. And it's really important to have that data handy, especially if you're going to devote 1 hour a day to defending gun rights. You can take in stuff right from there and use it. It's all factual information with footnoted where it all came from. It's really important, and that's the way everybody can be, totally educated and come off very intelligent in their response to the other side.
I like it. And by the way, don't spend an hour writing a 4-page thing that you're going to write or send to somebody. Spend the hour writing a 2-paragraph thing, and then spend the rest of that time sending it to a whole bunch of different people, because people don't have time to read more than 2 paragraphs of anything, just and give them the link. And then you come back the next day and you send it to a different group of people. But, be smart about how you approach people. You can be persistent without being a pain in the rear.
Yeah, that's very good advice, Tom. Definitely, and it's amazing when you engage and you start doing this kind of stuff, how many new people and new friends you're going to meet out there, and people are going to catch your letter to the editor and give you a call or a shout out,
yes.
or email you back or something. It is absolutely amazing the networking that this builds, and it's really important to do that, and then also obviously share that and get involved with your local gun rights groups as well. And if you don't know who your local gun rights groups are, just get a hold of the Second Amendment Foundation or the Citizens for Your Right to Keep and Bear Arms, and we'll give you everybody in your area that you need to contact.
Perfect. Thank you, Alan. I look forward to working with you through 2020. It's going to be a big year.
It sure is. Thanks, Tom.
All right, you take care. Alan Gottlieb from the Second Amendment Foundation. So the question is, that's a lot to ask. An hour a day. Would you ever do that? Well, how much time could you spend? How much time would you spend? Would you even spend an hour a week? That's not too much to ask, is it? 866-TALK-GUN. Also, when we come back, I want to talk about this church shooting and what was necessary to stop the slaughter.